This is going to be episode 1 of building the brand. My goal for this is to take you behind the scenes as I build my business, which is called Print Shed. We do custom metal art prints and now reintroducing street signs back into the mix. Today I'm going to be taking you through how I make 2 custom street signs. This is for a customer, they ordered them recently, and I'm going to show you everything else that's going on. The goal is just to take you behind the scenes as I try to build this business over the next few years. I haven't filmed much in the past and I really wish I had done that. I'm going to try and just show you everything that I do, all the decisions that I make, the reasons why I do them and everything like that. I want to be able to look back on this in the future and see where everything started. I also think a lot of this will be really helpful for you guys because you can see the early stages of how things work. For any of you that haven't got started yet, maybe you can make some decisions based on things that I've done or avoid things because of what I've done. My goal is not to teach you guys anything, it's just to show you the things that I do and the decisions that I make, and you can take that for what it is. So I've got these street signs here that I keep over in the corner so they're out of the way, and I need 2 of them. This is what they look like. Basically, these are just 2 aluminum sheets that I buy from Hall Signs. They're cut to 6 by 24 inches. They are 0.63 gauge, so they're fairly thick. You can bend them, but they're not really gonna get damaged too easily. And I'm just gonna lay vinyl over the top of these with the lettering, and that's how you make a street sign. There's no holes in these because they're not necessarily used for real signs. I have ones over there that are used for real signs, so they have holes in the tops and bottoms so you can mount them on a pole or something. These are mainly for inside, is what I always sold them for. And yeah, we got a couple orders today. So we're gonna make one of them. It's 2 signs. They are pink and black and pink and white. So if a lot of you guys are more new here, you know that I make metal prints. But when I first got started, I actually started with street signs. That's how I got everything going. That's what Print Shed originally was. And lately I just kind of wanted to get back to doing what I used to do, doing what kind of worked in the beginning and not getting too crazy with things. And so I had a lot of material left over, which allowed me to kind of just jump right back into this. Had a lot of demand for it. A lot of people have been asking for these over the past year. I didn't make these, I stopped making these about a year ago. When I got into making metal prints, I wanted to focus on one thing and make sure that it was done really well. And at the time, I just was kind of done making street signs. And so I did away with them. And do I regret doing that? Not really, because I learned how to make metal prints well. I learned everything I could about it in that time, but now that I kind of have that set down and secure, I can kind of go back to these and get this flowing well and have both of them at the same time. What I'm doing right here is just deburring the sides of these because they're a little bit sharp and cut up from the CNC machine that cuts these. I think it's a CNC machine. Either way, this just kind of runs down and cleans them up and makes them nice and smooth. I've been wanting to focus lately more on making content, and so one of the big reasons why I started making street signs again is just so that I can film more videos and do different stuff. I have a lot of different ideas, and just doing the metal prints, it was getting a little bit like monotonous. I was doing the same thing every day. I also had these big ideas to like start doing more signage work in Print Shed. I don't know if that's necessarily gonna happen. I wanna keep doing metal prints. I like those and I wanna grow that side of it more than anything. But kind of got ahead of myself. So now we're gonna do street signs and we're just gonna kind of run both at the same time. One thing that's been really nice is because of the metal prints, I have tried to really focus on like high quality, making sure everything's perfect and as good as I possibly can. And so something like these street signs, most people probably wouldn't deburr them because they're already pretty smooth. Like they're not bad at all. You're not gonna cut your hand on them, but I wanted them a bit nicer. The other thing is I used to use steel wool. I don't have any right now, but I have sandpaper. This is 220 grit. And I'm just gonna kind of wipe the surface down with this and clean it up and make it really nice and smooth and as clean as possible. Because if not, you get a lot of bumps under the vinyl and I don't really want that. You still get a few of them in the end. You just can't fully clear these up because they're just a piece of sheet metal. But this sandpaper actually works great. You can't rub too hard or it will gouge the aluminum pretty deep. So, which is surprising that sandpaper can gouge metal, but it is tougher. So I just, I'm like barely touching the surface with this. I just want to like clean it up the slightest bit. Score the whole top of it. I'm not scoring it so that the vinyl sticks to it any better. It's just to smooth it out. Take a rag here and just wipe off any of the dust and whatever that's on it. And as you can see, that's nice and smooth. But I don't know if you can see how scored up it is just from the sandpaper. And so if I pushed any harder, that was like barely touching it. You can feel the grooves from that. So it goes deep pretty easily. So you gotta be careful. Steel wool's a little bit better because it won't scratch it so deep. You can kind of push hard and it'll just polish it up and make it a lot nicer. I just gotta get some. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do here is, since those panels are cleared up, they're ready to go, they're ready to be wrapped, I'm gonna take this vinyl here. So the customer wants one of them to have light pink letters and the other one to have regular pink letters is what the request was. And so I wrapped the sign with this, and then I cut out the second layer that has the lettering. I peel the lettering out, and that is what will shine through, is this pink. So I'm just gonna take the sign, just make sure they're fully cleared off. I'm gonna lay it on right here. Leave a little bit on the edges, not too much, and then actually I'm gonna slide it in right here. Leave just a little bit all the way around, maybe like an inch, whatever. I'm just gonna cut it and cut it. Now, if I had like 15-inch rolls, it's a little bit easier than using these big ones. If it's better, I just don't have 15-inch rolls of pink in either one. So we're using this. Lay that out, and then the next one is just this bright pink right here. I'm gonna take it. I haven't unwrapped any of this stuff in a long time. It's the first time I've used pink in probably a year, so I'm glad none of it has like any residue on it from the tape. Take this, just make sure it's cleared off again. This one I'll do right on the edge because I want to be able to leave some for whatever next project is. Normally this stuff just gets cut into smaller pieces so that I can cut the top layer. I don't usually wrap with these rolls. So now we've got this one and this one. One key hack is with transfer paper, transfer tape that I'm going to show you next is what we're going to use. I use it and I break off a little piece and it holds these rolls together instead of using tape, because no adhesive, the adhesive doesn't come off this tape and get on the rolls, which is really nice. One thing I'll talk about real quick is this Roland printer that I bought. It's a Roland SG3540. It's like new. The only issue is that it has, I can show you right here, an issue with the blue. And so I either need to get it fixed or I'm gonna sell it. This was very much an impulse buy. I bought it locally for a decent deal. It came with this laminator as well and a ton of media. It can do everything, stickers, banners, whatever, but honestly, I don't really plan on doing any of that anymore. My big idea when I bought it was to get into all of that. I wanted to get more into signage, but honestly, I just want to focus on one thing. I think you get much better results by just like picking the metal prints and maybe the street signs and just going all in on that, not worrying about anything else. It's a huge learning curve with this machine and I don't really have the time for it to learn about it. Probably just gonna sell it, lose a bit of money on it, but the way I look at it is that's just the cost of learning how to do business. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I waste a lot of money on things that I really should not, and it sucks. I'll probably have to get it fixed. It's gonna be quite a bit of money to have a tech come out and fix that, but yeah, you know, it'll be easier to sell it if I do. A lot of people are gonna say it's dumb to sell this because they can make so much money, but everything can make so much money if you focus on it. If I focus on everything, I get nothing, and I wasn't thinking that way at the time. So I'll probably get rid of it. I really haven't decided yet. I'm gonna hold on to it for a little while longer. In case I change my mind, I probably won't. And that just is what it is. There's no reason to keep expanding when you're a one-man band and just starting out still. Back to the signs, I've got this. This is a cold laminator, 24 inches, I believe, from Vivor. You can buy it on Amazon or Vivor. I will try to leave that linked below. But basically, I'm just gonna take this sign, I'll take this vinyl, make sure it's clear, cleaned off. There's always stuff on the table, so you just wanna make sure that everything's clean. And then I'm gonna take it and line it up, just make sure everything's hanging off pretty good. There's enough room, it's pretty easy. And then you're just gonna Roll it right in, peel it back if I can grab it here. And then I tuck this paper right underneath. Try to crease it pretty good, because if you don't, you might leave a streak in the middle here. Pop through, flip it, and just like that. And then I kind of run it back just to make sure it's on. Good. And then we'll just trim the edges. As you can see, we'll trim it all the way around so that it fits tight. Next, what I'm going to do here is I just have to trim all this excess vinyl off. So what you're going to want is a really sharp X-Acto knife. I just put a new blade on this, and I'm just going to run it down the edge. It cuts a little bit of the aluminum off of the sign. And then what I do is I just like shave it. And this just cleans up the edge and leaves nothing hanging over in case the X-Acto knife didn't get it when I cut it. And I just do that all the way around, cut it, and then for the corners, you just shave the corners off instead of cutting them. With regular vinyl like this is Orcal 651 sign vinyl. This isn't as good for wrapping as it is for cutting, because it's softer, so when I scrape these edges, it actually can tear it sometimes, versus when I use reflective, very easy to like shave it off, because it's more like brittle. It tears easy and it scrapes off easily. This works. You just kind of get a feel for it, the way you keep the blade so that it can shave off the excess stuff. And you do your best and just go all the way around, and it comes out pretty good in the end. I just like to run my hand up and down it to make sure you can feel nothing. Like, you want to make sure it's nice and smooth, nothing hanging off. And if there is, I just try to cut away at it, because the thing is that if anything's hanging off, it takes a chance of peeling up. So you want to make sure it's as smooth as possible and cut back a little bit off of the edge so that nothing can pick at it and lift it up. That's why like shaving it around is good. Cutting it is what you need to do to get the excess off, but then shaving it's what peels it back and tightens it down. You could start with that. I just don't like to. Now what I have here is my Graphtec FC8600. I've got my white vinyl loaded into it, ready to go. And I'm just gonna go over to here, and this is Sign Master, I believe, and I'm gonna click send. And now it's gonna cut. And that's how fast it is, and I'm just gonna release it, and it's cut. Now that that's cut, I'm just going to peel away all the excess here. Try not to get it on that. I can't really see it. This white and the lighting is nearly impossible, but I'm gonna peel away all these letters here. Now I can see it a little bit. I've made a lot of mistakes doing this, where you start peeling and you accidentally peel into the vinyl that needs to stay, and then you gotta redo it because you cut it and ripped it. Just use this little tool here. It grabs it and pulls it away nice and easily. I'm just gonna do this black one now. See, the black didn't cut properly. It didn't cut all the way through, I think because the roll was a little bunched up. That's fine, it cut it fine still. What's nice is I can see this a little easier than the white, a lot easier actually. Black seems to be known for not fully cutting all the way through. White always seems to cut really well. A lot of colors will give you issues. They seem to be like slightly different thicknesses than, like they're not all the same, which is kind of odd to me. So you just have to be a little extra careful peeling away these letters so that nothing tears. So now I've got this transfer tape here. This is 4075 RLA R tape. And I'm just gonna line this up as much as possible. It's pretty easy. And then I've built this stand here so that it holds it. Peel it out. All I care about is making sure that the black is covered. Nothing else really matters. And then I need a squeegee. I'm just gonna lay this down just like that. And this is what we're gonna use to put it onto the metal next. Oh. We're gonna do the same thing for the white. I'm just gonna line that up. I buy this tape from US Cutter for anyone that wants it. Another tip for squeegees is this one's a 3M rubber, or no, 3H. I don't know what that means. It's got this rubber end on it. I just found this. I don't like using this. I normally use the rubber ones with a fabric cover on the sides of it. It's really nice for making signs. This thing like rubs off and there's material on it, and I don't like that, but I gotta get another one. You wanna make sure this transfer tape's on really, really good. This is what's gonna allow it to peel up and then stick onto the sign. And so you wanna make sure it sticks to it really well. And then I'm gonna take an X-Acto knife, and this is where it takes a little bit of a steady hand, I guess, not too bad. And I'm just gonna cut the very edge of it, and then I don't need to be exact in the middle. I can go off of it, and then I come right back on this side. I'm gonna do that top and bottom and both sides of this. Just like that, down. And what this does is allows me to line it up on the sign when it's ready to go. So I can see exactly how it's going to look and how perfect it is. Because if the paper was in the way, then you wouldn't be able to see where it sits exactly on the sign, and it wouldn't come out right. So that's what it looks like. White's the hardest color to do, by the way, because you can't see it. It blends in so well with the paper. But like something like black's really easy to do, which is nice. Just want to make sure that's on really tight. Make sure it sticks really, really well. And it's a lot easier to cut. I can kind of do it, you can do it quite a bit faster, just because you can actually see where the X-Acto knife is going to be. The only thing you got to be careful of is don't cut into the vinyl, or else you got to remake it, because it will then be messed up. I've also done this to thousands of them, so I've got a little bit better at it over time, gotten a lot faster. When you're first starting out, it's kind of difficult. So now that those are ready to go, I'm gonna put this laminator back up. And I have Nicole Boulevard is going on light pink. That was requested by the customer. And I'm just going to line it up on the sign first. Sometimes this takes a minute trying to get it as perfect as possible. You're not measuring it, you're just eyeballing it. That's what I do. I'm gonna take it, try to put it in level here so that nothing gets twisted or moved around. And then we're gonna grab a pair of scissors. I don't like to fold it when I use for the decal part, because I'm worried it's gonna leave something behind, like a line or something. And so I just cut it. And then make sure, the only thing I make sure is to take my hand and run it up and down where I just cut, so that there's no pieces of paper or anything left behind. I'll roll the end, flip it over, and then just be careful peeling this away. You don't want anything to get left behind and pull with the paper, and then it can rip. So just kind of go slow with that. Roll that through, roll it back, and that one's done. And then I'm gonna do the next one. All right, we're gonna feed this one in. Make sure it looks good, lined up. Actually gonna go a little farther there, and then pull this back just so you can see this from a different angle on the black one this time. And I just cut. It doesn't really matter how far you cut back. Just go a little bit. Make sure that's clean. Everything's good. And you can roll it right on. Sometimes I use a squeegee for the end of this instead of using this roller because it's easier to line up. The only problem is the squeegees I have, they were leaving air bubbles on the end because they weren't, they're not the fabric one that I like. And for some reason it just wasn't doing it properly. I did it like 3 times and it messed up. So I figured I'd just use the roller for everything right now. It is faster doing it the other way because I don't have to line it up in this thing, which is kind of difficult. Now we're just gonna peel these right off. This is always the moment of truth of whether it came out right or not. And they came out great. These are the final 2 products. This one says Haagen-Dazs Boulevard, or Haagen-Dazs Ave. That is black, gloss black on a neon pink. This one says Nicole Boulevard, light pink with white. Came out great though. I'll just keep showing you guys them for a second. They're really easy to make, and I like doing them. The only thing I do to hang these is I put Velcro tabs in here so you can stick them on the back and then stick them on your wall. You could also use other things if you want to, whatever you want. Street signs are now available. They're pretty easy to make. That is how I do it. If you want one, I'll leave them linked below.